Shirou Kote-Mine, the sadistic priest from the East, returns in this week's episode of Fate Stay Night, Unlimited Blade Works. Before going into the review, I just want to remind you guys that I am a new fan of the Fate Stay series. I just finished watching Fate Zero, and I just did a review of the entire series. If you guys want to check that out, I'll put a link for that video in the description box below and at the very end of this review. But this week's episode, right here, son, was freaking awesome. It was one of the greatest build-up episodes I've ever seen. Really, I was almost disappointed at first that Archer and Shirou have decided to not fight yet, but I really loved all the backstory we got this week, especially about Archer, where we learned about what happened to him after he died and how he became a heroic spirit, and how he was turned into this guardian, and he was summoned whenever there were problems in the world, and basically, he was just an assassin. A drone-like assassin who worked with extreme precision, and there's a lot of scenes of him going around through different times, killing people. It's so freaking ridiculous and over the top and crazy, but I freaking love it. I was kind of hoping that maybe we would get more of an episode devoted entirely to Archer's backstory, but you know what? I'll take what I can get. This combined with the fact that we do have another nice scene with Saber and her backstory, reminding us why she really wants the Holy Grail, just builds the tension in this room, and you can literally cut it with a freaking sword. This is all, of course, a build-up to the battle between Archer and Shirou, but I love how it started out with Archer just tossing a sword to him and telling him, look, just kill yourself. Let's make this easy. The other thing that I really like about this episode is that it's going by Terminator rules, where Archer feels that if he goes back in time and actually kills his younger self, that his entire existence as a heroic spirit and as a guardian will just be erased. I'm resisting the urge to do a Back to the Future joke, but no one calls me chicken. Damn it. The other half of the episode features Rin Tosaka, who's all tied up and getting smacked around by Shinji. That is until Lancer just appears out of nowhere and gives him one of the most satisfying punches to the jaw I've seen from this entire series. I think we can all agree it's really awesome when Shinji gets hurt. Little blue-haired prick. But my favorite thing about this week's episode, by far, was the return of Shirou Kote-Mine. Now, I just got done watching Fate Zero like a month ago, and because of that, this scene has so much more weight behind it. Just waiting for his return and hearing what his big plan is going to be, and to make things even more disturbing, he reveals everything about what happened to Rin's mother and father back in the day, basically letting her know that, look, I've been lying the entire time. I killed your father. I'm pretty freaking evil, and you know what? I like it. Kirei's smile never leaves his face, and he is such a freaking despicable villain. But he can actually be more evil than that, because right after this, he decides to take control of Lancer and he asks him to kill Rin. But Lancer's not going to do that. So instead, Shirou says that he's actually going to have to end up using his command seals, but instead of asking Lancer to kill Rin, he asks Lancer to kill himself. Lancer then takes his lance and freaking impales himself suddenly and just dies kind of right there on the spot. Shirou, you devilish bastard. This scene is all the more effective because right before this, there's a scene where Archer is talking about the fact that servants basically are just these autonomous killing machines that just kill everything in their wake, and they would do nothing to ever help a single person or a mage. Next scene, we got Lancer who decides he's not going to attack Rin whatsoever, and then Shirou ends up killing him. It just adds so much more weight to this amazing scene. So what's the rundown? On this week's episode of Fate Stay Night, Unlimited Blade Works, this series does everything right, even setup episodes. You know, I can understand if some people aren't going to like this episode because it wasn't exactly the big action fest, but I really enjoyed the backstory of Archer. As short as it was just awesome to learn a little bit more about him and how eventually he was just betrayed by these people. He was just set up in this war and then they just took him to the gallows. It's really depressing, and he's like just sort of like stuck in this constant endless loop of suckery because he doesn't want to fight anymore. He doesn't want to kill anybody. Another thing that I thought was really interesting is that Archer took so much of Kiritsugu Emiya's personality, obviously because he sort of was like his foster father and he saved him in the last Holy Grail War, but he sort of holds a lot of like his ideals where, you know, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. You know, if he can kill a few people and save thousands, he's cool with that. And, you know, he can never really do what he really wants to do, which is to save everyone. To him, it's completely impossible. And honestly, I kind of have to agree with him. It's such a stark, realistic thing to think that, but I mean, in the world we live in, and when you really think about it, it's damn near impossible. And with his ideals, they constantly clash with that notion, and it just makes Archer all the more of a sad character. Saber was also awesome this week when Archer was getting ready to reveal her whole plans for the Holy Grail, and then she just decided to stop him and tell Shirou immediately, just again demonstrating why Saber is just so freaking amazing. There's also this one scene that I think was kind of unintentionally funny. I'm sure it was meant to be kind of goofy, but it's a scene where Rin Tosaka just figured out that Kirei Kotomine was responsible for the death of her father, and she basically started telling Kirei, look, hell would never have you, purgatory would say that you're a bad influence, and heaven, nah, it just wouldn't work out for you, dog. The way she says it, though, is so scathing and hilarious and well thought out, she could do stand-up comedy. On the technical side of things, this week's episode, of course, just like the rest of the series, is absolutely gorgeous. Artwork, animation, voice acting, it's just great across the board. I love everything about this series. They definitely got some of the best animators working on this one. Ufotable is freaking amazing. Is it Ufotable? Is it UFO Table? I'm not really sure. I'm just gonna say Ufotable. What I will say is, this week's episode was a fantastic setup episode of the series. Kirei Kotomine returning is great. He's an amazing villain. So should you check out this week's episode of Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works? Yes, you should. And let's face it, you already have. Because this series is absolutely amazing, and so is this episode. It wasn't the big action fest that I think a lot of us were hoping for, but it was still a fantastic setup episode. So I'm gonna give this week's episode a 4 out of 5. Check it out, Fate Stay fans. It was pretty good. So, I liked this episode a lot, but what about you guys? Did you have a favorite scene from this episode? What did you think of the return of Kirei Kotomine? Why do you think he wants to become the Holy Grail? What's his big plan? Does he want to become some, like, omnipotent, godlike being? Does he have something even bigger than that in mind? What could be bigger than that? And make sure to tell me what you hope to see between the battle between Archer and Shirou. Please tell me in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching my review. Make sure to like it and share it with all of your friends. And make sure to subscribe to the channel and follow us on social media. Thank you guys again for watching. And as always, stay dandy, baby.